Ladies and gentlemen, live from London, it's 3DS Meetup TV.
Turn my sound off. Oh, there you go.
Who's burping the introduction?
I can hear the music through
Yeah, who's got
your
the sound on?
thing, Nigel. I can hear the audio through your thing, Nigel.
It's fine though, you can't hear it on the
Hello,
feed.
everyone. We're live, Nigel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another 3DS virtual meetup. I want to say thank you to everyone who is tuning in tonight. We have another great lineup of speakers, presenters, panelists, mixologists, and yes, we're just a great bunch of people tonight, as always. And my name is Ioanna. I'm a co-host tonight with Nigel and Josh. And yeah, hope you enjoy tonight. So, Nigel, over to you, and Josh. Maybe we should introduce who's in tonight. Hello?
Sure.
Everyone here? Yeah, so tonight we have Alex, who is a visualizer. We have Teddy, who is from Chaos Group. She's going to be our mixologist. We have Yoko from Recent Spaces. We have Nico, who is another mixologist that we have. We have Tom, who is a 3DS member, and he's going to show us the great work that he's doing. We have Fabio and Jason, and us from 3DS. So everyone awake? Yeah, so I want to start with some news tonight from the industry, but all I wanted to share with you is the SIGGRAPH things that I'm part of and how active we've been so far. So I think because this is like an ongoing thing that's happening right now, we moved all our events from physical events to 3D, like not 3D, sorry, it's in my head, to virtual events. So what we're doing right now is we have drink and draw every month, and we have bring your own animation. They're all virtual events and they're happening in the industry. So if anyone's interested, please get in touch with me and you can start being part of those. We also have another thing that's going on now, actually right now. We've been in touch with universities about helping students to get into the industry in this like very unusual times. So we're doing like a face-to-face university and recruiters event that is students present their work and then universities supporting them, and then we have recruiters who are actually looking at students' work and listening to them. It's like a mini interview, which is really cool. So if you're a student or a university staff, or if you are someone who is interested in taking part of this, please get in touch with me. It's a very cool initiative because we are trying to help as many as we can of the students right now graduating. And also what is happening next 2 weeks is we have another one of these university events, and we have a live drawing class, like a virtual live drawing session, which was really fun last month, and it's amazing. And if you want to do like some kind of really cool art of your own and you need a model to pose for you, please join on this one because it's very exciting. It's very cool. Last time I think we had about 60 people joining us, and it was very cool. It was very useful. I would never show my drawings to anyone, but it was great. And also we have another event that's coming up called Funny Fail Stories. I'm gonna share a little bit more on social media maybe this week, but it's very cool, like people from the industry sharing their work and they failure in the work in some ways, so that's quite fun. It's like a stand-up comedy that we're doing. We had these events, 3 or 4 of them last year, and it was like a great success. So if anyone wants to join, please visit the SIGGRAPH website and you can see all the things we're doing, and I think it's a great thing for us to unite together as a community. Yeah, this is the news I have currently. Yes, and let's start the panel discussion. How is everyone tonight?
All good?
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah, very well, thank you.
I'm wearing a t-shirt.
Oh, great. Is that an unusual thing for you?
You're lucky that he's not wearing a shirt at all.
Yeah.
You should be in one of our business meetings.
It's just a bunch of guys sitting around without their shirts on.
Awesome.
That was
So-
too much information.
No.
Killed it.
I was
Everybody
thinking
is
that-
stunned.
It's doing that
Stunned.
pigeon of it all, yeah.
Fantastic.
Don't worry, guys. I know that you're asking. Yes, I do have a tattoo with my name on my chest.
That's lovely, Fabio.
So how are you, Ioanna?
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good.
Yeah, trying to invest as possible, like as much as possible into my time, and yeah, focus on the things I love. So this is good.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm starting to enjoy actually this working from home situation. I have plenty of time, vacuuming twice a day, which is great.
Yeah, we've become very addicted here to, since we have the whole family here, my daughters, my wife, to playing gin rummy every day. And I cannot go the day without playing this game of cards at least once. So
Oh, that sounds
this
fun.
is a new thing. Yeah,
Yeah, sounds really fun.
it's great. It's very
Yeah.
hard to beat my daughter though. She's very good at it.
How old is she?
14.
Nice. Yeah.
She's really good. Gonna start, getting her prepared for tournament life. She's gonna start playing in tournaments.
That's good. So Fabio, Jason, why don't you share with us the recent challenge that you had? We saw some really, really good work out there, and quite really good actually. So can you tell us more and how this topic came up? And
Go
Yeah,
for it, Fabio.
so we kept using the platform as a way to show the work of some of the most talented artists that we are in touch with. And this time it was the turn of Amin Farah. He works in the field of digital fashion. Maybe this could be a person that you guys want to have on the show sometimes in the future. He's very talented, and so I thought, okay, what if we try to do something similar and give a task to the designers to come up with something related to digital fashion? It was a very cool competition. We had the support from our friends at Evermotion. They were sponsors. We had around 85 entries, very good work, and the live where we did the judging was a lot of fun. And now we started a new competition, which is not a weekly competition. It's a 2 weeks competition. There are no assets on our side. Artists are very free to do whatever they feel like doing. And we decided, in light of recent events, to give the platform to show the support to our friends in America, to stand against oppression and and we're trying, to show our support because we feel like what is happening is not right. And as artists, we kept asking ourselves, what is that we can do to show support and to be there for those guys that are now fighting for a better situation, put it this way.
Yeah. I just want to add as well, as for myself as an American from the South, it's really sad what's going on there. And I think that it's a culmination of a long-term situation that is just bubbling over now. It happens every so often or every few years. There's some kind of, unrest. But I think this time that it's quite serious, and we just wanted to do something, in solidarity to this. Plus, honestly, that was just the last thing, the digital fashion. We've done how many? Four other ones since the last 3DS London. So there have been a lot of images that we had to look at in the last month. It's amazing, though. The quality is amazing. I'm all blown away every time.
If you want to check out the entries, all of the entries, go to our group, the D2 community group, ask to join, and you'll be able to see them.
Yeah, I've seen some brilliant work, almost all the entries are amazing. It's just a bit depressing because I'm like, oh my god, these guys are so good.
Yeah, it is incredible the quality of the work that you guys have managed to pull into this and how successful the competition's been. You should have done it bi-weekly or monthly because you've really got a lot of work on your hands now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, that it's very hard to keep up, but eventually sooner or later we're going to bring that as part of the D2 content, and so we're planning to find a way to make it a little bit more sustainable and to organize it a little bit better, and to have a whole week every month dedicated completely to the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's, we like you said, there's a lot of work to do on there, but Fabio's doing most of it, and we just have the fun part of getting on there and doing the judging in a live judging panel, which is pretty funny because it's not easy at all, to pick from those images that we get. So I think it's, if you would go back and do it again, maybe you'd end up with a different result each time. There would be some images which would overlap, but I think that you might, the first top five images would probably be not in the same order every time. That's how good everything is.
I don't know how people find the time to do it. Do you think maybe you could do a challenge on airports or something, and I could just submit something that we've already got?
People ask me that question all the time, and I'm like,
But Josh, people do that already. They just take an interior scene and then they put the topic in there. It's doable.
Noted.
Yeah.
Now those usually get kicked out at the beginning though, so it's up to you.
no, but like, everyone who wants to join us, that want to take part in one of these challenges, just go to my channel. Look for it. There is always a video where I make the challenge announcement. There is no joining fee, like, look at the topic, feel free to exploit the topic and explore different opportunities, different ways to face this challenge. I'm not a very, how can I put it? Like, I'm not super rigid when it comes to handing in your work. If you think that you have a better idea that could suit the challenge that I've given you and that can still fit, a little bit the brief that I've given, I'm very open to see how people can come up with creative work and support it and compete.
Yeah, I'll add a little note to what Fabio said, that there's no fee. It's basically just whatever your hourly rate is. I mean, that's the fee. Because you've got to spend your week, making an image. So otherwise it's free.
And we're not paying you to do the work.
I have a question for Teddy, because I saw some people asking in the channel on YouTube. So how is Chaos Group doing?
Well, we're doing, I guess, as everybody else. We're working from home, all of us, the entire team. We're very busy right now. As you know, the Fury 5 beta is out, and we're working hard on this. And yeah, we're working on a lot of exciting things. Unfortunately, I cannot talk about it right now, but expect some great surprises coming soon. So,
oh, that sounds good. And obviously Total Chaos not happening this year, but
yeah, it was very tough decision for us to have to cancel Total Chaos. It's, for us, really, this is the best time in the year to have all of you guys visit us here in Sofia and have this great community time together. It's really the most valuable time we get to spend with the community, and it was sad that we had to cancel it, but of course for a good reason. And also we're really looking forward to 2021.
Yeah, maybe this has like a positive like side as well. Maybe it will open different opportunities, who knows.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's look on the bright side.
Yeah, let's keep looking on the bright side. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, does anyone want to share something that's happening recently in the industry? Do you have any information, news that you want to share with us? No. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I guess
it's been a bit slow, I guess.
I guess it's been a bit slow. Yeah, that is true. Okay. So maybe we should move on to presentations. And we have Alex, who is our first presenter tonight. Hello, Alex. You're muted. Oh, yeah. Hi.
How are you doing?
Hi. Are you going to share with us your work?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about one job, which I did for Asbury Park Hotel, which is in New Jersey in the States. It's a job I did like probably about a year and a half ago now, but like I figured I'd show some of the images. I haven't really put too much of it out online. And the nice thing, about this format is I can actually do it on the workstation here, so I can actually show the max files and actually get into some depth if people are interested, and show how it was all set up and some of the trials and tribulations along the way. So I got my eye on chat here as well, so I'll try and kind of keep focus between the two. So if people have got questions, then far away on chat. If one of you guys wants to keep an eye on that while I'm actually gibbering away in the background, that'd be great. Then I can actually kind of focus on what I'm doing and then come to that afterwards. But yeah, that was what the plan. I mean, I've got loads of other things I can show as I'm here in the studio anyway. So, I mean, my studio is this room. So this is where I normally work from. So it's actually not a big shift for me. But the big advantage of doing it in this format is, like, obviously I'm here on the workstations here and I can show a load of stuff that I wouldn't be able to do in Truckles. So actually, from that point of view, it's actually presents some new opportunities. So, if people have got the time and the interest, then we can go into that. Do you want me to start now?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Just show us everything you have.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with a slideshow with just the images, and then we can open up the max file, or it's already open, and just dive in, and people can ask questions as we go. So let's find where we're at. So hopefully you're seeing this, and we're going to go into slideshow mode. Oh, there we are. Yeah. So this is a hotel on the beach in New Jersey. It's a town that was really, really popular in the 1920s, and it's kind of, for the UK audience here, it's like the equivalent of Blackpool to Manchester and Liverpool. So it's like a seaside resort that everybody from, say, New York City would go to in the 20s to get away from the city and just freak out on the beach, have ice cream, all the usual stuff you get up to when you go do that stuff. And over the last 10 years, it's been going through a big regeneration phase. So there's been lots and lots of new building here. Lots of new hotels, lots of shorefront development. And this is a huge complex. And I got brought in sort of midway. There'd already been a set of images done by another group of guys for the exteriors and to get it through planning. And I was brought in because they were starting to market the public spaces, because it's a private beach club, but it has a mixture of apartments, a hotel, and it's also open to the public. If you subscribe, you can come in, have a drink, go for a party in the evening. And the view we're looking at right now it's kind of crazy. It's like it's 2 floors up in the air. So all of this pool deck, all this planting is actually sort of 20 feet up. And the idea behind it is that there's a beach walk in front, and you get to look directly over that. So when you're stood on the deck here looking the other way, you look directly out at the sea. So as a project, it was kind of crazy, but I'll kind of go into the process behind it after I've gone through all the images first. So we'll just do the kind of slideshow now, and hopefully this will kind of not take too long to open. But the brief was essentially centered around 2 spaces initially, which is this, what they call the Great Room, which provides a link between 2 blocks of accommodation and the main entrance sequence. And then there's the entrance lobby itself, where you come up from ground level where all the parking is, and you kind of arrive and you're ushered into this space. And the initial tranche of images, I think I was asked initially to do 4 images, all centered in this room that we're looking now. And it was mainly to get sign off on all the furnishings. I mean, it wasn't really primarily a PR exercise at that point. It was more an exercise for the designers to kind of just agree on what was going on, because there are quite a lot of cooks in the mix. So you had the main architects, Handel Architects, who are based out of New York. Benetti Kozeski, who are like a well-known interiors design company based in New York as well. And Andre, designer, who was like overseeing the whole process. And I've worked on and off with all of these guys for like the best part of 15 years now. So it's a long-standing relationship. It's kind of something we kind of know what our strengths and weaknesses are, and a lot of the same things crop up every time. So I kind of knew roughly what was going on. I mean, I'll show you the briefing documents later on, and it's kind of laughable how kind of minimal they are. But anyhow, more images. Let's see where we get up to. And essentially, the room itself, the main space here, it straddles two areas. You've got what's a June garden over here. I mean, if everybody can you guys all actually see the cursor when I'm twiddling around like this? Okay, cool. And then out the other side is the sea, and the deck. And this is where, if you come out of the lifts from the car park, this is where you are, and you're kind of facing out to the garden and the deck at that point. And what they have here is like a big bar, kind of sitting area, but this kind of doubles as a breakfast bar in the mornings. And then round the corner here, which I think is the next shot, you have a kind of breakfast area with seating and stuff. And there's a bunch of flowers and food over here, which took forever to do, but is all covered up here. Let's have a look. This is a view from what they're calling the Dune Garden, which is basically a bunch of sand dunes. It's their kind of, they're taking their hat off to the local ecology with this. I'm not totally convinced by that argument, but essentially it's all filled with plants and stuff that you would find in New Jersey on the coast, apart from the hydrangeas. Again, trying to sort of illustrate this at different times of day, the kind of things that could happen, you know, jazz piano sessions in the evening, all this kind of stuff, cocktails at the bar. It's kind of an open buffet arrangement where you can just come in and mingle and help yourself to drinks, and then there's a TV where you can watch sport and stuff up at the other end. And then later on, they came back and said, "Oh yeah, we really love this. Can we do some more images? Because like our designs moved on, and we need to kind of update all the stuff we did for the pool with another company beforehand." So I got to do some more pool stuff. I had to kind of model all this stuff anyway, because you kind of see it out the corner of your eye in all the other views, and I wasn't quite sure at the start what we were going to see and what we weren't. Again, it's just times a day, looking out from the view from that room. It's all kind of centered on that space, really. And I think that might be it on the slideshow side. So if I go back in here, and I'm going to have to reshare the... Oh no, we're in the right application, I think. Sorry, I've got YouTube open on the other channel because of the time delay. I'm kind of just trying to decide what I'm looking at. So the initial briefing document is this. So I was given a set of Zoom. I'm just going to stop the sharing for a minute while I kind of change windows. Go back. Yeah, so my brief was this. So it's essentially one PDF document, one page, and a whole bunch of arrows, and centering here. And the ones that I was kind of briefed to do were the red ones. So if I zoom in on this, you can kind of see. It's a big rectangular block, and the decking area and the room we were talking about are 2 floors up. And then there's a big kind of tower at the top here and a kind of low-rise kind of block with serviced apartments in it. And so this is what they're calling the Great Room, which we're looking at. This is the Dune Garden here, views out across the pool to the sea. And then the lobby space where we come in from the lifts is here. There is a kind of route through, which kind of comes all the way down here. So that was the start of it. Let me go back to that. And in the course of this, I mean, I did huge numbers of drafts. I mean, just ridiculous number for a job that initially started off as 4 images. It kind of ramped up pretty quickly. I mean, I think we ended up with like 11 images in the end, and it probably took a total of something like 3 to 3.5 months, I think, total. The initial tranche was sort of 6 to 8 weeks to get most of that done. Some of the early drafts we have, I mean, I've got some tests here. Yeah, so this is like the initial Revit model import from Handles. This was actually marks a nice milestone, which Nigel will appreciate. This is when I actually finally bit the bullet and actually subscribed to Sinai software, because this saved me a huge amount of time. It was a nightmare model to deal with, and Sinai's plugins, particularly Forensic and Sculpt, just got this under control really, really quickly. When I first imported this, it was kind of like taking like sort of 20 minutes to redraw every time I moved the cursor. And by the time I finished it with the Sinai, it was just no problem at all. So it was, you know, it basically paid for itself in the first 10 minutes of the job, which was kind of what I said to Nigel when I first bought it, having put it off for years and years and years. And then what I did initially, I kept the Revit model, but I just basically put a hole in it and started over. And so I started off, I had a full set of working drawings at this stage because the thing was actually on site. So I started off by modeling all the detail for the individual spaces and working my way through it. Again, I can't quite see what I'm going to do. It's a slideshow. So I isolate the spaces. I start working on the things that I know are going to cause me problems later on, like the June garden. I hadn't really done a huge amount of vegetation using, I'm using Corona render in this. And I decided to use Corona scatter, and I was kind of experimenting with that at the time. I'd used it on a couple of jobs prior to this. So I was still kind of learning as I went. And just getting some of the materiality just in my mind, exploring the views, even though all the context is kind of taken away from this. So I'm kind of thinking about, well, okay, there's a huge block of flats behind me on that side, where the light is coming from. If I put that in, how's that going to affect the water? All those kind of things. And this is before we get into furniture and everything else. And as you can see, we start off with like a very Swiss kind of suspended fire. This kind of disappeared very quickly. That was in the initial brief, and they decided they didn't like it. It was a bit of a fire risk, apparently. Surprise, surprise. And just homing in on the other options, again, getting some of the core trees and things in, just so I've got kind of some visual cues about the later compositions. Trying to decide whether I kind of adapt the trees, whether I change all the mapping on them or not, or I just leave them as it is as well, as another issue, because you know, some of them look more real than others. Also do quite a series of tests, just getting the geometry right on this. There were some quite complicated wood paneling systems in this, and I decided I was going to polymodel those, and I did these as a series of tests just to make sure I got the geometry right, together with the lighting, to make sure I didn't get any artifacts and all that kind of stuff before I actually started putting all the materials in. This is just done with a material override in Corona, with exclusions on the glass objects. Or in fact, I think the glass objects might just be hidden in this one. And again, sort of homing in on the compositions while I'm still working on the model, just kind of getting a feel for it, getting a light balance together. I mean, the way I tend to work, I don't tend to go straight to photoreal. I'm not thinking of this as a real world camera as such. So what I try to do, I kind of start from an architect's point of view in terms of getting the interior lighting all sorted out first. So what I try to do in a shot like this is get all the various light sources balanced and giving good definition and good what we call vector lighting in particular spots. Obviously this will get filled out with furnishers later, so this is kind of very much a starting point, but it's at this stage it's all about getting the lighting balanced in terms of levels, not color, but just basic levels at this stage. And then as I move in, what I'll do is the easiest option is typically to modify the day and sun settings. My goal is always to try and get it in one shot as a composite and not have to comp afterwards. So and the easiest way of doing that is to adjust the sun and daylight rather than all the internal lighting. And that means that I can start with the lighting in max using real world values. So I know all the kind of light temperatures and the lumen values for the lamps. And that way I put something in that is realistic and they can relate to from a design point of view. And once that's kind of okay and the balance is right, then essentially all I do is I dial up the sun and the sky to kind of mix with it. And so in that sense, it's not a physical representation of what I just see with the camera, but it kind of works. You get the best of both worlds without having to be actually totally real all the time. Right, so back where we started on that run. And then there are absolutely shed loads of material tests. Just trying to find something where this is a bit later on, I think. A little bit more detail, starting to get the changed fireplace in. Let's go back to slideshow mode. Yeah, so a little bit more detail, a little bit more materiality. Again, I've still left all the main Revit model out at this stage. I'm really just interested in making sure that I'm getting the right kind of qualities in the materials at this point. Again, I've already done the lighting kind of setup, so I know that's kind of a given, and now I can add the materials. I can kind of maybe adjust light levels in particular places like the shelving lights if I don't get the material to read correctly. But then it's some quick exposure tests just to make sure I'm kind of not doing anything completely stupid with the settings. More landscaping, just homing in on what they're actually after. I mean, I leave a lot of these quite rough. I mean, it doesn't take more than a couple of iterations to tell whether it's going in the right direction, so I don't always carry it through to something that's like a finished image. Then we have, let's have a look. There's a whole bunch of drafts here from earlier versions. Let's have a look at these. Yeah, so these are kind of earlier versions. There's all sorts of things wrong with these. I mean, there's some classic ones like the feet of the chairs in the foreground, either side of the pool, are backwards on this. I think that Max screwed it up when I kind of mirrored some aspects, and it was kind of like, oh shit, the chair's gone back to front and it's randomly changed the legs around. So I had to go back and fix that. These are early tests for the night view, where the candles are ridiculously sparkly and the fireplace looks like it really is on fire. We sort of toned all that down afterwards. I also changed all the sky and stuff. This is like with a default solution out of Corona, but actually what I really wanted to make a contrast between the kind of deep blues of light just after dusk outside and the inside. So in the final image, it's got a lot more color in it. Again, when this is an earlier version of this, the things that changed afterwards were the fireplace, some of the materiality, the velvets all changed. We'll talk about that in a bit. The ivy, again, was like totally the wrong scale when I rendered this out, and I thought, oh shit, it's way too green and it's way too small. So that got changed. General things like this started off with a kind of retro 1920s lamp on the bar, but that actually got lost in the final versions. They got replaced with flower arrangements and food. And again, materiality in this changed. I mean, some of the mapping on those chairs is atrocious. But the materiality, I got a bunch of material photos through, and of course they don't tell you anything about the reflectivity. And so I put it all in it, you know, as far as I could tell from the photos, it looked fine. And then they said, no, it's kind of like a satin metallic finish. It's like, really? Okay. So the final versions kind of reflect that a bit more. Right, we're going into circles again. And just to go back up to where we were at the start. Yeah, I'll just revisit these again, then we can kind of talk through it. So yeah, on this one you can see I fixed the chair legs and all the furniture is kind of updated from the earlier views. This one you can see the outside's now got quite a lot more blue. I've kind of dulled it back particularly on the right hand side where it was conflicting. The other thing I did with this is kind of dial down all the reflections on the glass because it was just getting too busy and too confusing, and all the kind of twinkly glare and bloom stuff is kind of switched right back down on this as well. Fire's calmed down, although I'm not really happy with the fire. The fire's kind of done in Photoshop and it's a little bit, I don't know, the flames just look too big to me on this, but the client loved it, so it's kind of, it stayed. Again, just things like tweaks to the water as well. You know, in the renders, sometimes the water can look a bit flat, even though you put a load of displacement and stuff in there. And that's just going back in Photoshop and tweaking it with a few kind of highlights here and there, just to add it a little bit more sparkle to it. It doesn't want to be too reflective, because one of the key things with this is actually showing all the pebbles at the bottom. And if you make it too reflective and sparkly, then you lose that. Again, this was one of my bugbears with these kind of images, and I do a lot of this kind of work, is getting the materials right. So things like material trees for things like velvet. I probably spend a stupid amount of time, something like a fifth of the project time is messing about with material swatches and just getting the materiality of things right. And because a lot of my clients work in different countries, and quite often the team is spread out and dispersed geographically. Like I'll have like interiors over here in the UK, I'll have various designers in the States. We're communicating via photos, and some of the photos of material swatches are just unbelievable. And they never really reflect reality. So you have to take your initiative, go look on the web, go out to showrooms, actually see the stuff in reality, take lots of photos in different lighting conditions. And even then, it's never quite right. So you end up having to still make a kind of artistic judgment at the end about whether something's going to satisfy someone or not. But the velvets on this one took forever. And there were some other challenges, things like cane pattern chairs that have to wrap around really strange shapes. One thing I absolutely hate is UV unwrapping. So it's kind of like I try to avoid that at all costs. And so a lot of this stuff is fudged using triplanar maps in Corona, which is like one of the best things that's ever been invented. If you've got some sort of amorphous material where you don't have a really noticeable tiling pattern and you just need it to wrap around surfaces without having to really think about it too hard, triplanar mapping is your friend. And again, things like, you know, the rugs, I used to go back in and do lots of work in post in Photoshop, but actually, to be perfectly honest, the only things in this particular image that are photoshopped in is the flower arrangement. Everything else is done in render in one take. So there's very little tweaking to do at the end of the process. And some of that is to do with like the rate of change. I used to do a lot more Photoshop comping after the fact, but now I try to do as much as I can in render, simply because whenever I have a change that iterates through a set of images, it's much simpler to just do the change once in the model and then just press render and leave it going overnight in Backburner or something. The wood texture in this was quite challenging. Every plank had to be different, so there's lots of kind of fun mapping stuff going on, which is why I spent so much time on the rendering out a series of black and whites earlier, just to make sure that I got all the geometry straight before I started on this. Makes life a lot simpler if you know your geometry is behaving properly first. You know, those who know me from a long time ago know how much I love lens flares. This is probably a good example of that. Probably a bit too overdone, but again, it's one of those things. And the same again here. But it kind of works. I mean, the thing is, the render was doing that anyway. I just kind of decided to bump it up and add a few kind of artifacts over the top just to sell it a bit more. Yeah, that's it. I think on the slideshow on that. How are we doing for time, Nigel? Or anybody else for that matter?
I think we're all right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine. Okay, well, in that case, I'll go to Max and we can have a look at some of the material setups for this. I mean, and then people can, maybe that's the time to go big on chat. So if somebody can kind of just, I don't know, can you kind of like just keep an eye on chat for me, and just, if somebody has something specific they want to ask, just repeat it for me, because I can't really do both at the same time.
Sure.
So this is the model. Initially, what I tend, this is stripped back for this particular view, which is view 7, which is the one with the piano looking out towards the June garden here. What I have originally, I had the Revit model. Obviously, I chopped a big hole in it and removed the deck from it, and then I modeled all of that stuff separately and then brought it back in. So before I start the views, I'll have a model with absolutely everything in. So the Revit model will be complete. There's 2 more floors underneath this thing. There'll be, you know, on this I've started stripping away stuff around the outside that I'm not going to see from this particular view. But as soon as the view is finalized and I know what I'm looking at and what I'm going to see in reflections or not, or what's going to cast shadows into where I'm looking, I start deleting stuff to keep the size down on something like this. I don't do it for every project, but when I've got a lot of trees and vegetation, most of which you don't see in here because everything that's a tree or a plant is set to either box mode or point cloud display. because it cuts down on the crap. And I'm sadly not running an RTX graphics card on this, as it's been pointed out to me a couple of times over the last few weeks. So I have to be a bit careful about like the geometry count in this. And for the astute guys out there, you'll notice this is Max 2016. I do actually have all the up-to-date stuff, but I actually started modeling in this, so it's kind of like it's a no-brainer. I've got all my plugins and all my scripts set up in here, so I tend to just keep inside of this for the modeling. And then the setup here is I have like a modeling workstation, and I have 2 or 3 machines just for rendering, so they kind of get set up via Backburner. And then over the years I've kind of started using them as well, but different story. So anyway, the scene is here, the camera's in here somewhere, we're looking out towards the June garden. The vegetation, where it's not standalone trees, is all using corona scatter, which is brilliant. In this particular case, it's using scattering on the June garden. I can actually bring this up. Let's have a look. It'll actually select it for me. Oh, that's interesting. So, but you get the picture, and basically it's scattering a whole bunch of different grasses, which I kind of sourced from VisPark, which are really good for this kind of thing. And it's using I can't see it here because all the kind of thumbnails for the people's faces are kind of covering my interface. But there is actually a surface map in there, which is dealing with all of that. And if we go up here to Slate, somewhere amongst all this junk. Yeah, here we go. So yeah, what I started off with, I did this really roughly, and I just stuck it in the top viewport, did a screen capture, and painted over the top in Photoshop to get this. So I end up with a bitmap. Looking at it, it starts off with black and white, and I got a whole bunch of photos of sand dunes, worked out where the grass was in relationship to the topography. You know, does it tend to be along the ridges, or is it just hidden down below? Painted up a rough map, and then this one's actually, you can see this big blob down here. It looks like somebody's ghost has died or something. This is kind of me just thinning out the veg. So when I see the view, as we look out, so let's minimize this, go back to camera view, down here. As we look out here, basically it's thinning out the grass as it appears along the edges, and that's applied to the scale factor of the objects in the scatter. So basically what that means is they either get small or vanish in the areas where it's black, and they just appear in strength where it's white. The hydrangeas, which are these yellow dots here, they're kind of randomized using scatter as well, but they're not messed about with too much in terms of scale because they need to fit into planters that are quite small relative to the models of the plants. The other thing is probably worth having a look at maybe. How are we doing for time, guys? Just so I know.
Another 5 minutes maybe?
Yeah, okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
Great.
Just that's a bit fall off my desk. All right, so here we are in Slate. The walnut panning we were looking at before, this is like a standard of mix of multi-materials, but the thing that's brought to the mix with it is it's used combining it with a corona wire color. So what that effectively does, every time you've got a mesh element along the edges, it creates a line. So you get all the kind of black joint lines for free. And for the surfaces I'm using where they're planar, you're not really seeing too many corners. It works absolutely fine. It's a lot easier than using a tile map or trying to draw it all by hand in some big giant Photoshop map. So this literally takes every element as a flat plane, draws a 1/16 of an inch line around it. Yeah, that's the other challenge with these kind of jobs. You suddenly have to throw into feet and inches again after however many years it is since I did it at school. And it just literally forms a bunch of lines around it. So you get the randomization with the mapping. Again, I've got some UV randomizers in here, and basically that's giving me some really nice mapping to play with, and I use that quite a lot. It's really handy for all sorts of things. In the past, I just use a standard max tile texture and just put the textures inside of that. But this keeps it nice and simple. You can just plug that in everywhere, and once you've got the joint sizes, which is kind of standard if you're an architect or in design, you know what the tolerances are and joints and stuff like that. So you just feed that value in left, right, and center all over the place. Somewhere in amongst all this junk, I have the velvet. Here we go. Yeah, so the velvet map, I actually have lots and lots of velvets, which I stole shamelessly from lots of different places. This one's actually loosely based on the default Corona library, but it is changed quite a bit simply because the Corona material looks great, but the minute you change the color on it, it throws everything off. It works really good for the default red that they show, but the minute you change the color, all the highlights go because the Fresnel is really pushed to the limit. So for this, I've kind of added a few more layers to it. It starts off with a multi-material here with 4 different colorways to do the armchairs. Everything's, again, using triplanar because you don't really have any noticeable seams with this, so you can get away with just giving it a size, and yeah, it's okay if it blends around corners, not a problem. And then it's really just getting the control with the outputs and the fall-offs to kind of get this kind of soft fuzz. And the real trick is this kind of sweet spot. You don't want it to totally white out with the fuzz on the extreme edges. You want it to still retain some of the color. So it's really just about kind of judging that for each one. If it had just been a single one, it's a lot easier to kind of hone it. But because it's a multi-material, you kind of have to make these values work for all the different range of colors and brightnesses. So you kind of have to dial it back a bit for that to work. I think that's kind of it on the... I mean, have we got any questions? Anybody? No?
Alex?
Yeah?
I'd like to ask you about something, but...
Yeah, go on.
I am changing the subject a little bit, though.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
I hoped you'd share a bit of the stuff about the work you've done on the Stratus Zero.
Oh, well, okay. Well, I can open it now. It doesn't take long to open, so let's give it a go.
You kind of grabbed the... You know that challenge is finished, no?
Yeah, I kind of heard that.
You've really grabbed it. It seems like it really inspired you, Jason. And,
well, there's a story. The story is I actually started that car model about 2.5 years ago, and I got as far as the wheel hubs and the basic profiles. I'd kind of dug up. I think I found the blueprints on Thomas Sirlin's site like years ago, and I thought it was something I kind of started on because I always loved that car. I have, well, you can't really see it here, but I have a big library of stuff, and there's a whole bunch of books on car concept designs. And for those of you who don't know me, my dad was in the motor trade. So actually as a kid, I was surrounded by cars the whole time. I used to go to all the motor shows. I probably, like, from, I don't know, the late 60s to the early 80s, I probably sat inside every single car that drove on UK roads at some point, you know, so big into cars at the time. And so actually, you know, the car modeling thing, I've always kind of kept an eye on it. I'm a great fan of watching modeling videos anyway, because it's always good to learn new stuff. And let's have a look at this. I'm just trying to think which one I've got. This one.
This was one of the longest 3 days of my life making that car model.
Yeah, well, you got off lightly because you stopped after 3 days. You see, this is the thing.
Fabio, you know that one of the wheels was wonky, don't you?
You know, like, I got off easy. I got off easy with the comments when people got the model. I was like, just, you know, have fun, make something.
It was
but,
good.
You know,
it was good.
No, but at least I had the decency not to go around and say, "Oh, look at my model, how good it is."
Yeah, but then you told people they should have fixed it in the images.
I'm going to stop the share while this is kind of chugging away in the background.
Which was hilarious. Oh, sorry, Alex.
No, it's okay. It's just it's taking a little. I don't know why it's taking so long to load.
I always say, work smart, don't work hard.
That is true. Got a question from the YouTube for you, Alex.
Yeah, sure.
How do you find working with Corona rather than V-Ray?
Oh, well, that's a tricky one. I can't really honestly answer that properly because I've never really... I've had V-Ray for years and I know how to use it, but I've never actually settled on it as my main production renderer.
Okay, so you mainly use Corona.
Yeah, and before that it was Final Render, and then before that was Mental Ray. So, and I kind of skirted a V-Ray because I think initially I didn't really like the look of what it produced. It had a very definitive look. If you saw stuff on the forums, you always knew it was a V-Ray render because it had a very particular quality about the way the lighting solutions and things like that worked in it. And it never really kind of tallied with what I wanted. But I've always kept track of it, and I've always had it installed. So it's kind of, I need it because basically every asset you buy online has V-Ray material. So you have to be able to convert, you have to kind of use it. And actually, the later versions, like, I think I've got 3.7 or something installed here. I do take it out and take it for a run every now and again, just as a reality check, just to see how it performs against other things, because I'm constantly testing stuff. But right now I use Corona because it's simpler, to be honest. It's not because it's necessarily better, but it's just a simpler workflow, which I kind of enjoy and I've gotten used to.
Yeah, you're used to it, I guess.
Yeah, and also I think because I was standardized on final render before, I waited around. One of the reasons I changed was because I waited for about 8 years for the kind of 3.5 update, which became 4 GPU and whatever it is now. And I invested a lot of money in top-end graphics cards a while back with anticipating that coming out, and it never happened. And so I wasted about 3 or 4 grand on graphics cards that I've never really used. They're sat on my render boxes. And I kind of, I'm a little bit wary of, I'm wary of using GPUs because the technology is just changing so fast. You can sink a huge amount of money into your GPU setup, and then it's kind of obsolete in 6 months' time. So with Corona, I don't have to worry about it. It works out of the box, it's interactive, and it does it on my CPU. So it's kind of no additional outlay. And because yeah, sure. No, absolutely. No, that's absolutely fine. We do, I know.
I love V-Ray. I think it's fantastic.
No, I love V-Ray as well.
That's the spirit, guys.
But I'm just not using it in production. But I mean,
Yeah,
but Corona and V-Ray are the same company now, so
Sure.
it's absolutely fine.
Okay. So thank you.
You're welcome.
You were about to show us something else, or?
I was, but I thought that was it. Was that Nigel prompted me to finish, or just to not talk more about V-Ray?
I think it did, kind of. Thank you very much for showing your work. It was great to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. I think it's amazing, and it's great to see that you've got such a good attention to detail as well. I can see you put a lot of effort into the physical 3D of it all, which is fantastic.
No, well, I've always loved modeling, so for me that's one big part of it. The sort of part that I like to keep doing. So, yeah, thanks for that.
I had one final question, if that's fine.
Sure.
Do you work by yourself?
I do, yes.
Yeah. What?
I do use freelancers every now and again if I have a huge job, but I mean, that happens pretty rarely. And I tend to, I mean, most of my clients know my situation, so we kind of tailor the times to suit. So, most of the time it's just me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do work for other people as well. I'm available. I'm there for freelancing purposes if you need me.
That's good to know.
And I also do cars.
That is good to know too. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So should we move into our first cocktail of the night? If anyone has any other questions for Alex, you're welcome. But otherwise, we're moving into the cocktail with Teddy.
Yay! Yeah, just before we move on to the cocktail, I'll make a disclaimer. I'm not a pro mixologist. This was my first attempt, so please be kind. And I'm not pro at video production. So Fabio, I need to take a few lessons from you, mate, and Nikos from you too. So
to be honest,
enjoy.
You did an amazing job. Let's the video. Let's see the video.
I mean.
Let's see. I like the V-shaped orange.
Hi everybody, and welcome to our cocktail workshop. My name is Teddy, and I'm community manager at Chaos Group. And today I'm going to show you how to prepare yourself my favorite cocktail, the Negroni. Negroni is also called the king of aperitivos, and it's one of the classic Italian cocktails which dates back to 1919. It was invented by an Italian Count Camillo Negroni, I think, who wanted to make his drink a bit stronger. He was used to drinking soda and Campari, but he wanted something a bit stronger, so he asked a bartender to add gin to the drink, and that's how Negroni was born. The really great thing about this cocktail is that it's very simple to make, but it has a very sophisticated bittersweet taste. And if you're if you like that kind of taste, I'm sure that you're going to love this drink. So, what do we need to prepare a Negroni? First of all, we need gin. In our case, we're going to use Bombay Sapphire. I've chosen Bombay because Bombay gin is the favorite one of Queen Elizabeth. It's a very good gin. Also, we need any kind of bitter, and in my case, I've chosen Campari because I like Campari. And here we have a very old formula for sweet red vermouth. It's called Antica formula, and it dates back to 1786. So, still a very classic drink. The other thing we're going to need is an orange and, of course, ice. Since we're in a bar, we have a lot of fancy toys here that we can play with. I'll start first with the mixing glass. If you don't have a mixing glass at home, don't worry. You can just take your old-fashioned glass and start pouring the drink inside it. It's okay. This is a bar jigger. I take it and I'm going to pour 30 milliliters of each of the ingredients. Okay, now that we have all the ingredients in the mixing glass, I'm going to add a lot of ice. So, I'm going to add some more. Adding that much ice, our goal is to cool the drink and also to add just a little bit of water. The good thing about Negroni is that you don't need to shake it. You can just stir, it's enough. But it needs to be well stirred, so it takes around, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds to do it. Now that we are done with the stirring, we take an old-fashioned glass. If you have a well-cooled off, that's great. And we add, again, new ice here. In our case, we have this big chunk of ice, which normally people don't have at home. And we put it in the glass, and with the help of the strainer, we're going to add the mixture here. Beautiful. We're almost done. The final step. We need to take the orange. Mind you that the orange needs to be well washed, but not too well, because we need to reserve the oil of the peel inside of it. As you can see, the oil is getting out even when we're peeling it. So we take the peel, and here we squeeze it. And we add this very nice orange flavor to it. You can make an orange twist, and voila, your Negroni is ready. If you're a Virey fan, you can actually cut your peel, your orange peel, in a V shape, and you get a Virey Negroni. Cheers, guys, enjoy.
Making that great cocktail. I'm gonna try it next time for sure. How did you learn to make this?
Sorry?
How did you learn to make this?
Oh, well, as I told you, I'm this was my debut in mixology, so I basically consulted one of my friends who's a top bartender here in Bulgaria, and he told me, you gotta go with the Negroni, it's super classy drink. And I'm like, it's actually a favorite drink of mine, so.
It looks great. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's really great.
Yep. So we're gonna move to our next presenter. We have Yoko tonight from Recent Spaces. She's a senior artist there, and she's gonna share some really cool renders, simulations, and all things CGI with us. Hello, Yoko.
Hello.
Nice to meet you virtually.
Nice to meet you. Hi.
Hi. We first gonna play the show reel of Recent Spaces.
Yeah.
And then we'll hand it over to you to present your beautiful work.
Cool, thank you. I'm just gonna share a screen with you. Right. Everybody can see the screen, the logos. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start. All right. Hello everyone. My name is Yoko from Recent Spaces. First of all, Team 3Ds London. Thank you for giving me this great opportunity tonight. Very happy to be here.
Thank you for coming, Yoko.
Hi. So before sharing the presentation, just apology. So my internet connection is not that great. So some of the video could be a bit jumpy. So my apology. Let's begin. So recent spaces. Oh, wait a sec. Sorry. Just, yeah, we are, sorry. Recent Spaces are industry-leading London-based architectural visualization office founded by these guys, Ian Banks and Alex York. And this is a team. Small, but all passionate artists who I really enjoy working with. Let's have a look at our representative work. You might have seen these images. Rose Hill, one of our best projects delivered in 2010, worked with Rockefeller Group and Setroladi. Absolutely beautiful. These amazing colored rooms. The collaboration with Cameron Design House. All the images are so detailed. Stunning. Striking. Beautiful. I should learn more words in English. We work very closely with the project team, developers, architects, designers, artists, and branding agency. I believe our images represent the design most effectively. You might know our service is not just still images. We also have these detailed illustrations. Fluid images. This is a unique tool to present the space to viewer and customer, which developed by Recent Spaces. For example, you can turn the light on and off, time-lapse, control the depth of field, open the door, move the furniture. You can do so many things. And of course, 360s. We have more work on our website. Oops, sorry. Or please follow us on Instagram. Now, let's move to our very recent project. The project we worked with Lesan Pools, who is the largest manufacturer of the fabricated pools in the world. Our mission was producing the most realistic swimming pools. There's no designer or architect involved in this project, So we provide it all the way from the design process. Sorry, something's wrong. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Okay. Yeah, all the way from the design process to the final product for these 5 locations in the US. I would say our workflow is unique. Let's focus on California as an example. So our initial brief was this. This information shows the general summary of family's lifestyle. We also received the drawing plan, also these sketches. Next process is research. So since the style was specified as California mid-century modern, we started gathering reference image from Newman's work. He was an American architectural photographer. His photography spread mid-century modern around the world. We learned the style, colors, contrast, and most importantly, compositions. Also, Ekla homes for the house design. Reference doesn't need to be only photos. As a beauty thing. We look at everywhere. Just browsing Pinterest, Instagram gave us gorgeous inspirations. After spending tons of time for the research, as I said before, there's no architect or interior designer involved in this project. We designed all the houses, landscape, vegetations from the scratch. Then put all the essence into 3D scenes carefully. Then, this is the fun part. Composition studies. Picking materials, very simple, but make sure the client to understand what we are aiming to produce. We spend a lot of time to explore all the possible camera positions, discussing the team, address, adjust to find the best. It's really fun. Then from here is the final still we delivered. I just go through really quickly because I want to share the technical things afterwards. Each location had different family makeups, different design style, different stories. Texas has this contemporary modern style. Very nice. The family in Charlotte has 3 kids. A lot of pool toys around. Gorgeous Newman there. This house in West Massachusetts, surrounded by beautiful trees. I love to be there right now. The retired couple lives in this gorgeous Spanish revival house. I can imagine spending time on the terrace and lying on the lounge chair, having cocktails. Okay, those are the final still images. Next, let's move to cinemagraph. Have you heard about cinemagraphs? So cinemagraph is something between still image and animation. Basically, the camera stays in a position. Then some motions like water or trees, tree shadows, fire, smoke, that kind of things are animated in never-ending loop. So we were asked to make cinemagraphs for those 5 locations, which gave us massive amount of time for R&D. R&D is, I guess everyone knows, research and development. So tonight, I'd like to share with you 2 topics we've R&D'd for this project. It's same as research process. We spend a lot of time for R&D to make our images to. Before moving to the topic, let me quickly introduce Phoenix FD. Phoenix FD is a plugin which we can use to simulate realistic liquid, fire, smoke, mist, splashes, and more other effects. Very powerful. Okay, let's go back to our topics. The first topic is how to render animated caustics in Corona Render. All right, so this is a base max file. First, go to Render Setup in Performance tab. You find Caustic Solver, tick Enable, and make sure Generate Caustics from Environment is also ticked. Then, there's no water in the scene yet. Create a box to cover the swimming pool. Basic water texture setting, add a bit of blue in absorption color, adjust the distance. And this is important, activate caustics. Tick. We need a bump map on the water surface, so add Corona displacement modifier on top of the box. We use Phoenix FD ocean texture, which you can find from the map tab. This ocean texture is a game changer. You can easily get realistic water into your scene. So apply to the displacement map. Now we finally got caustics. Another tip, if you want to have larger scale of caustics, just increase control by wind speed value. If you need more contrast, increase max level in displacement modifier. Lastly, let's change playback mode from linear to loop. Adjust loop length to 15. Okay, so we've tried so many ways to get this final result. Please try with your scene. Done. So the next topic. All right, so the next topic is how to animate jacuzzi water with Phoenix FD. I can talk about this topic for more than an hour, but our time is limited. So I just go through basic method which recent space spent sometimes quite a lot of time to develop. Our team looked around, but there's no tutorials exist for jacuzzi situation. Tonight, I'd like to share with you our very own method. I made this process as simple as possible, but a bit complicated, so bear with me. So some of Phoenix FD effects, like Phoenix FD form, are not supported by Corona render at the moment. So it seems next version, Corona 6, will be working with it. So anyway, so far we set up the scene with V-Ray. So let's create a liquid shim into the scene. This will be the main controller to produce the water. Create a cylinder fit in a jacuzzi. Right-click. Find Phoenix FD properties. Then tick initial liquid fill. Now, this cylinder became the initial liquid source. Seems working. I just applied simple water texture to the liquid shim. Create another small cylinder at the bottom of the jacuzzi. This will be the source to produce foam in the water. Bring liquid source in the scene. Then add the small cylinder to emitter node. Everyone still with me?
Yes, this is amazing, Yoko. It's great.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Okay, continue. Thank you.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff.
Thank you. So next, go to Form tab. Tick Enable. Then you will be asked, would you like to create a particle shader? Then say yes. You got this particle shader in the scene. Go to General tab. Add. Then you will be asked which particle you want to add to the system. So select Form. Okay, so this is our simulation. So these green stuff are the form. So this last thing I will add into the scene to this water movement stair. So go to Helpers, Phoenix Turbulence, bring to the scene. Okay, almost there. Tick render as geometry Bourrelly. So this is the thing I mentioned before. Only Bourrelly can render those forms. The final simulation. So now we got this jacuzzi movement. Maybe the turbulence is a bit strong, but it works. Okay, so I hope this method helps your jacuzzi scene. All right, so if anybody has questions, please contact us by email. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Can I just one more thing? Can I add a bit? Thank you. So I've been in this industry quite long time, but recent spaces really special for me. I think tons of research, plenty of discussion with my lovely colleagues, R&Ds, being passionate. I truly believe our hard work allows recent spaces visuals to be different level. So any of videos, well, yeah, so now we can see, but yeah, if you miss any, just visit our website. So thank you very much for listening. Yes. Yep. Wait a sec. Thank you.
That was amazing. Seriously.
Amazing.
Thank you
Oh my
very
God.
much.
Thank you very much for
Really
sharing
great.
your
We're
Does
looking
anyone-
for such great projects for Phoenix for a tutorial. So if you're willing, I would love to talk to you about it. It's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah. No, I really love it.
Yoko, I would
Really
love to
fabulous
hear
work,
some
Yoko. Fantastic.
Thank
some
you.
water
Thank
sound
you very
effects
much.
would be nice. Oh, pool sound effect. I can just hear the water, you know. It's fantastic. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Great.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions for Yoko?
Any questions?
Actually, yeah, I have a question, Yoko. Actually, I think the work's amazing. From yeah, to everyone at Recent Spaces, including yourself, the work's fantastic. Congratulations, and the pool project, amazing as well. And the simulations, they look incredible. I mean, the question is, it must be really difficult doing these simulations and then rendering all these caustics and making it look so fantastic. I think my favorite is the spa with all the bubbling water.
Thank you.
How do you do this? You know, how long does it take to do this? Is it you know,
well,
come back a week, or is it can you get something done in the afternoon, or is it?
So yeah, we started this project in October. I think beginning of October. Then I think Christmas time. I think I was still working for making this jacuzzi thing happening. So means more than I think I spent quite a lot of time. So yeah, so usually we can find the tutorials quite, online easily. And yeah, Chaos Group has great tutorials. I could find so many.
It's nice to be appreciated.
Sorry.
It is nice to be appreciated.
Sorry. Anyway, so we spend quite a lot of time, but finally.
I think with this kind of work, when you're doing simulations and rendering things that take a long time, like caustics, obviously it's very difficult to get feedback quickly from the renders.
Yeah.
Do you find that problematic, or are you happy to leave things going for a couple of days and then come back and then see how see if it's working?
Well, yeah, but obviously, so we use Corona render and also V-Ray render both, and some bit takes ages to simulate and then render. Actually, simulation itself worked quite quickly. So I think the difficult thing is the balance. So once the jacuzzi, the size shrinked, we need to set all the settings all the settings will be changed. So that part is tough, but simulation itself with this liquid simulator, it works totally fine.
Okay, well, thank you, Yoko. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, any more questions for Yoko? Even in the chat? Let us know. If not, then thank you, Yoko, again. It was great having you, showing your brilliant work. I think everyone on the chat was like, so awesome. And we're gonna go and move to making another cocktail tonight with Nikos. Hi, Nikos.
Hello. Hello.
Thanks for being here tonight again.
How are you, Ioanna?
How are you? We're good?
Oh my God, I feel like talking for caustics now. I'm so inspired. That was an amazing.
Yeah, no.
My mind is like, I have so many ideas. That was a great tutorial. Yeah, I don't know how cocktails and caustics both interesting. So that was great, Yoko. Amazing. And Research Spaces team, congratulations for the R&D and for this stunning work. Seriously, congrats.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, Ioanna, have you ever tried mezcal spicy margarita?
Nope. No, actually, no.
Oh my God, that's why we're here. So
yes,
I would like
okay.
Margarita is something I drink in the summer. I think it's a great cocktail. And, you know, I was looking forward to present it here. Thanks to Nigel, now all my friends text me asking me what I'm going to make for them on the weekends. So it's getting busier in my house on the weekends. Thanks to Nigel. Thank you for that. Everybody thinks I'm a bartender now. So guys, to make a special margarita, I'm going to use with a premium mezcal. It's a bit smokier than tequila. It's still a tequila. We're going to have to use fresh lime juice. It's amazing the taste you get with a fresh lime juice. Cointreau, a great sweetener, agave, and ice. So I'm going to go to my bar. I might play some music as well just to get us in the mood, you know, after this amazing session. So I'm going to change to my bar. Let's see my bar. Okay. So let's put some music just to get into the mood. Okay. So, do you guys like salt in the margarita? I love salt. So I'm going to try to add some salt in the glass first, right? To do that, I'm going to squeeze fresh lime into the glass. So just around the glass, oh, almost there. And then I'm going to take a plate with salt and then turn. Look at that. Now we have a very salty glass, which looks great. I'm going to take the shaker. I'm going to add ice. Don't forget to wash your hands, right? Stay safe. So we have the ice. I'm going to start by doing 60 ml of mezcal. Don't forget, mezcal is a lot smokier, but I'm telling you, it's going to have an amazing taste. 60 ml of mezcal. All right. So I'm going to follow up with 30 ml of Cointreau. This is the Cointreau. That should be enough. Okay. So then we're going to have to go with a fresh, I have here a very fresh lime juice. I'm going to put some water as well. Now let's going to make it a bit spicy. So I'm going to add Tabasco. That should be enough. And then my special sweetener, agave. This needs to be like 15 ml. That should be enough. Now it's time to shake the drink. I'm going to recommend 12 seconds. Let's do it. Okay. Let's try that. Bellissimo, bellissimo. Now I'm gonna finish with a line. There you are. I'm coming to say hello and cheers. So I'm gonna change my camera. Okay, so guys, this is mezcal spicy margarita. You have the sea salt on the side. Oh my God, it smells so good.
Nikos, I want one. I didn't have the stuff today.
Amazing, guys.
So
nice
professional.
Tabasco for the spicy, very salty, very fresh for summer. So you haven't, please try this drink. Try to make it at home. Invite your friends and have a great time. We need to stay safe and we need to stay healthy and creative. And try the caustics as well. I can't wait to go back to work and play with the caustics. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That was brilliant.
So good. So
very
good.
Ioanna,
let's go.
Drink, please.
What was that?
You should try this drink. It's just...
Yeah, well, I should definitely. I have 2 cocktails I should definitely try.
Yes,
No, on my list.
Guys, let's
terrific track choice there as well, Nikos. Great song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the choice of music, brilliant.
It goes well with the drink, I think.
Yeah, the music was super spot on.
Oh, thank you, Teodora.
Thank you, Nikos, for being here tonight again with your brilliant cocktails. I think it gets better and better. Every single cocktail is just like better and better every time. It's just thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we're gonna move on our panel presentation from Tom, who is a part of 3 Years London. Hello, Tom, as well. And he has his own studio. He's gonna show us some great work tonight. And some of his personal work, some of his commercial work, and I can't wait to hear all the things suggest from you, Tom.
Okay, so I jump in?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks for the intro, and hi everybody, and thanks for having me on. I think I've dodged this for about, I don't know, 6 years or something since I last stood up in Truckles, so I've done quite well, but I'm going to have a go. And yeah, so I'm going to share my screen and just get into a bit of a presentation and show you a bit of my stuff, a bit of what I've been up to in the lockdown, and yeah. So this is sort of a variety of work that I've just that I've been producing over the last few years, and just to give you a bit of background info about me, I started my career at Design Hive in Godalming, where I worked with some great people actually, like John Wells, who's now at Assembly. They presented last month. Dave Macy from Inc, who Ioanna works with. Nick and Glenn at F10, Matt and Leanne at White Balance, Karen Gazard, who everybody knows, 2 Marks, Mark French, Mark Lefrene, and Phil, who works D-Box. And of course Christian, who sort of founded Bionics with some of the other guys. So yeah, after Design Hive, I moved to Bionics, where Christian was, because he offered me a little job there. Was there for a couple of years, and then Mark French said, why don't you come and be full-time at KPF in-house team? So I think as it was a full-time job, a bit of security, all that sort of stuff, I kind of jumped at that. But the full-time thing lasted for about a year, and then they changed everything and they basically got rid of the whole in-house team, but took us all back the same day as freelancers. So from that day on, pretty much I became a freelancer, although I was freelancing at Bionics, I guess. So then, yeah, from then I think I did a year in-house at KPF as a freelancer, and then sort of thought maybe I'll give it a go and set up on my own and see if, say, KPF still keep coming and see what happens. So yeah, I was just I'll run through, so these the clients I have, amongst others. I feel very lucky to have them, and I try and produce the best work I can through any project that I'm given. A bit like Alex, I'm one person on the whole, but I always try and get help where I need to, and I'm trying to collaborate more and more as I go along. So it is always good to try and get help and to work with other people. So yeah, I think that the one thing you find when you're working at home on your own is that it can be quite a quiet place sometimes. So you need to socialize, you need to keep on social media, and you keep on talking to people. Anyway, yeah, I'll just keep going, run through some stuff. So I've got to flick through some of these projects because some of them I think I can show, but I don't want to. Want to talk too much about them or show to sort of set up my day. And yeah, so basically my day with the kids is just like walk the dog, take the kids to school, all of that, drink loads of coffee, listen to loads of dance music, get to work. I usually work till like 3, 4 o'clock and then have a break, and then usually do the school run or whatever to collect them before the lockdown, obviously. And then yeah, then usually have a break and cook dinner and stuff like that, and then sit down again to work in the evening. And I don't know about anybody else who freelances, but or has clients. A lot of the stuff they send is quite late in the day, so you just you pick up stuff quite late, and then you work quite late, and it all sort of starts again the next day. Anyway, so let's move on. A bit of work I've been doing. So this is a project I've done for PLP sort of recently. That's in Utrecht Bar, I think. I think it was a competition, but I think they had pretty prior notice that they got it. So quite enjoyed doing it. There's a lot of information that I try to throw in. And obviously taking on one project on your own, you've got to try and build as much of an asset base as possible. So a lot of the stuff is used in multiple images. And that's where quite a lot of the time goes in, I guess. But yeah, it's quite cool. I used Asanoma and stuff for the people in this view on the right. And yeah, just tried to get the best as I could out of it. Moving on. Yeah, project for KPF. Can't really talk very much about it, but there's an image for that. Again, I had a bit of help with some of the context buildings. Thanks, Matt. And then just try to throw in as much as I could, and then get something relatively cool out. Recent one, again, don't really want to talk too much about it, so just to show them and then as examples and move on. And then yeah, on to some Hawkins Brown stuff. I really enjoyed doing this project because it was quite close to where I live, so I could actually go over to the site, take some photos, get a decent time of day and stuff. So some of the background information was all there to be used, which is quite cool. So yeah, that was quite good fun. Next, another one. I don't think I can say where this is, or I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's disclosed yet. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing the images for it. Again, interiors, exteriors, full package, I guess. There was a section for this as well, which is always quite fun to do, but I'll move on to, I was going to show you that in another project. So yeah, with this one is a competition, again for Hawkins Brown. I think they've won it, so I can show it. Don't think it's released yet, but I thought I could show some, like, the breakdown of the PSD for the interior shot, just so that it sort of shows my process, I guess. So if I go in the PSD file, I guess you've got all the different groups that most people have, but turn them all off. And yeah, maybe not all of them off. So yeah, that's the base render. Pretty standard from Corona. There's a few things I fixed and added in, like some drapes and stuff like that. And then general reflection passes, some adjustments to the interior walls they wanted, and then the people, some more reflections, some people on the stairs, some graphics and stuff, and then the grade, which I guess is the most important thing. I think I did another one, yeah, a little bit of like a camera raw thing that I think quite a lot of people use now. So yeah, that's that. Any questions, please jump in, because it'd be good to have some. Yeah.
I didn't see any of that PSD thing. I think you've got to tell Zoom to share your PSD file.
Is it not just sharing my screen?
We can see 2 images right now.
Oh, sorry about that.
Have another go.
Okay, so shall I start again?
There we go. I can see it now.
Yeah.
Do it again.
Okay, so I just take all the, if I take all the groups off. Sorry about that. So we're back now. Yeah, this is the base render, which has got little adjustments and stuff on it. I think I might have used an LUT in the Corona thing. I usually render everything out as a Corona image and then play around with the light mix sometimes, or some of the exposure settings. There's a few fixes and things, a few adds, like some drapes, initial passes, I think, just a few reflection, I think some reflectors, some darkening down, AOs, stuff like that. They wanted the internal walls a little different color, so did that. A bit of art. People. More reflection. People on stairs. A bit of graphics and stuff, because being a university and an art college, they wanted it all to sort of like have a bit of excitement. And then, yeah, the grading. And I think, yeah, as I said, I did another crunch, I think, with a camera raw filter.
Tom, if you don't mind me jumping in, I'm interested to hear how much post-production work you do after the render's finished.
Well, so how long it takes, or?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you do a lot, or you don't do a lot, or would you spend on one image? How much time is 3D, and how much time is post-production?
I think, as you see from the base render, I kind of try and get a lot of the information into the scene. So a lot of the furniture. I mean, I've got. I had to do a section of this, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. And so the assets to this project were massive. We had to do a lot of. I just had to create all these different spaces, like, down here is a print room, and then you've got all these back-to-back desks and other computer suites. So there's a lot of stuff that went into it, and then I worked quite hard on the lighting of the image before, so the base render is still pretty good. And then, of course, the amount of passes you get is great. So then, apart from the people, which take a bit of time, I guess it's just like tweaking all the render elements and all of that to get the look that you want.
Okay, thanks.
I guess yeah.
Nice. I've got another question as well. Like with an interior image like this, do you feel like I mean, do you do more post-production on an interior image or more on an exterior, do you think? Okay, can we cave that without people, because people are obviously difficult and take a long time.
Yeah, the people seem to take forever. I think it's always a job that people want to shy away from, but I guess it's but I guess it really depends on what the exterior shot is. If it's a big exterior, you're going to spend so much time on creating it and then trying to get the mood right, etc. But yeah, I think they could probably balance themselves out. Same for each. I don't know, what does everybody else think?
Thanks. Okay. No, that's good.
Okay. I'll go back to my. So this is the amount of assets and stuff, or some of the assets that you use for it. Basically, I'm a big user of XREFs, so they're all split up into their own files, all in their own spaces. And this was crazy because it had everything from a stage set green screen room, VR suites, print screen room, cafes, desks, art, easels, everything. And these are some of the materials that are made from it. And a little bit like Alex said earlier, there's a lot of sort of multi-textures and things used in it to just create variation. So like the lights had a multi-text for colors so that throughout the render they'd be different. The monitor screens had different screens so that they'd all be different in the render. I mean, it's quite a poppy looking section, but it kind of, there's so much information. I think they wanted it quite cheeky. So, you know, you've got these, you know, these are the last little things they wanted to add in, but these sort of giant balloon animals and stuff, and the balloons at the top. But yeah, it was always going down that route of like trying to make it fun. And again, because it's an education centre and it's an art and design centre, they just wanted it quite fun. So I think it did that. Anyway, yeah, so that's kind of the professional work I do. And then I guess I come on to lockdown, which I think...
Tom.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, Tom. Just before you go on to your private, so I hear Hawkins Brown are a fabulous client to have, but it sounds like they were quite exacting there. What are they like to work with? Are they nice?
I find them
Can I just interrupt you, interrupting Tom, just to say, don't interrupt Tom.
No, I need interrupting. I think you need to slow down, so that's fine.
I was being sneaky. I just wanted to look at the section for a bit longer on the screen.
Okay, cool.
It's a very cool section.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's cool. No, Hawkins have been a great client, actually. I really enjoy every project they give me. It's been quite fun to do, and I find all of the guys who I work alongside.
Oh, he's gone again.
I think he froze.
You know, do the work.
Here he is.
There he is.
Tom, sorry, you froze for a couple of seconds there. Can you go?
Sorry, am I back?
Yeah, you were saying how lovely Hawkins Brown were to work with. That's why we can move on. It's fine.
Yeah, okay. So, I was going to talk a bit more about the lockdown and how I don't know about everybody else, but I found, it's been it's been quite hard to get motivated. And actually some of the stuff that, obviously the stuff that Fabio does is just so amazing. You sort of get a little bit heavy-hearted in some ways, because you think, wow, how can I do something? So anyway, I haven't partaken in those just because out of fear, I guess. But I did decide to revisit the Secret Garden project from the Evermotion competition that was on a few years ago. So it's been around my area. It's a really beautiful, some beautiful landscapes and great vegetation and stuff. So this is a collection of stuff I've been taking just in the recent weeks of just my my local area. So it sort of shows a sort of snippet of what's around. And I think that old Secret Garden competition from Evermotion just sort of fitted right in with what I was kind of thinking about. And I think also with a competition like that, when you sort of set out, this was my mood board for it a few years ago, and when you set out to do something like that and then don't finish it, it's quite easy to never go back there and not do it. And I think, like, hats off to Alex for finishing off the car that he started, because it's a similar deal, I think. So anyway, I went through the whole process of this, and I just chucked loads of things in, and I wanted to try speed tree, I wanted to try mega scans. Obviously, I just used loads of forest pack and just try to build several different scenes. And it was a little way into it that I suddenly thought, actually, I could probably try and make it a bit more fun as well in this lockdown, and try and use the kids in some of the photos or some of the images, so that it gives us something to do. I mean, some of them have worked out, some of them haven't. So, but anyway, the scenes sort of developed. I went into quite a lot of depth into all of this. This is the sort of shot with the kids in, when I tried to get them to dress up as pirates, and then they went mermaid spotting, which you can give a tail. one of those. I kept it black and white because I'm not completely convinced about it. But it's kind of as a storyboard. I think it sets a scene with the rest of the images. And then I kind of produced the image for the secret garden shot, which I was thinking of originally, I guess, which has turned out to be this. And so yeah, I just chucked loads of wisteria in. I used an Evermotion model for the pergola. I used some mega scans on the floor and just try to populate it. And I think I was trying to be really quite different to the usual stuff of Archviz. So not have a building in it, you know, as such, but try and make it, yeah, just a little bit different. And of course, with these scenes, setting up 2 different lightings has been quite cool. So I did the dusky version, and again, tying in with trying to get the kids involved. I wanted to try and sort of produce these sort of fantasy type images and then get them to do stuff. So then, yeah, the final sort of shot is of them doing some potions in the garden, and yeah, it was fun to do. And yeah, that's how I've been spending some of my time in a lockdown. And yeah, that's pretty much me, to be honest.
Tom. Amazing, Tom. This is incredible.
Tom, it's amazing. I have to say though, what are you worried about? Join the challenges. Come on.
Yeah.
You've got.
What's really shocked me is just how. Oh, sorry.
Jason, you have to do the next challenge about a garden, yeah?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to spice it up though a little bit, add a little something extra.
I think
so the Tom doesn't have to just, you know, so he has something to do.
It's the fact that timescales are so short.
Jason,
I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
Jason, would you mind just repeating where the challenges are? Where do we find them?
Yeah, so Fabio has on his channel every
on the
week,
YouTube channel.
On his YouTube channel, it's Fabio Palvelli. You can find the challenge information each week. This week, it's actually he's changed it. It's going to be 2 weeks. It's going to take. You're going to have 2 weeks to complete the challenge if you want to do it. We've been doing it weekly, which is kind of insane, but there's been a lot of amazing work. But go check out Fabio's channel. We also post all of this stuff as well in the D2 community group on Facebook. Also, the images, like the top images afterwards, we also post those. So if you want to check that out, you can also join the D2 group as a public group. You can join it. We'll let you in.
Cool.
And you can find all the info there.
Incredible stuff. I think.
Yes, so beautiful and magical.
Really nice. Thank you.
It's really cool how you managed to integrate your children into like the whole CGI environment as well.
Yeah, it's a challenge to get them to do anything at the moment. So getting them to do that was also pretty full on. You think they jump at the chance, you know, to get involved, but no, like it had to be a one setup thing, and then yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I bet they're really excited to be part of a project like this. I mean, if my dad could do this, I would be like, wow, he's a magician. You know, it's like insane.
I bet you're yelling at the kids going, get in the garden, we're doing the photo.
Yeah.
If you can get them for more than 5 minutes in the same spot without fighting, you're doing well.
Look like a witch. Hang on.
I've got another question for you. It was in the beginning of your presentation when you were sharing your day. I saw in one of the images you have a DJ pool. Are you DJing on the side?
Yeah.
It's like a very random question, sorry, but it's like
yeah.
Very curious.
I've got a full setup there. Yeah, really enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah, really enjoy mixing. It's one of my
really cool.
like a way to chill out, really.
Yeah.
Like a musical instrument, isn't it? You have to keep playing.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing how many 3D artists, when you notice, like, have music as a sideline. I mean, I fill it in. If I'm waiting for a render, like I'm just like sitting watching the screen as it scrolls down, gradually adding more detail. I'm playing guitar or I'm messing about on synths or something. I mean, it's just music is such a great alternative to actually doing the 3D stuff. I mean, it just fills that gap in a funny sort of way.
Definitely. Yeah, I completely agree.
The comments in the YouTube chat are great as well. Everyone loves it, and I think we all love it as well. And thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Really great work.
Thanks, Tom. It was great.
Good. I'll go now.
Tom, one more question, Tom.
Yeah.
How did you get into Truckles Underbar?
They let me in once a month. It's just me.
It's good. The quality is.
You keep commenting that the background on my study looks like a prison, so I can't.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh, we have a cat on screen.
No, I'm just going to talk now, just to bring in Meg, who doesn't like our new dog.
We have a question on the chat. Why is Nigel so serious and quiet this evening? Oh,
he's worried about. He's controlling everything, so he's quite. He's doing a really good job. Go on, Nigel. Give us a big smile.
Nigel, you're so controlling.
I don't know. What did you say? What was it?
Excellent.
That sounds like me. I sometimes work for them as well.
That'd be great.
So we can. The people can hear me. You can hear me differently. Carry on.
Are you back?
I am.
Oh, Nigel's back.
If unfortunately what's going on YouTube sounds like I'm the all-encompassing voice from above.
Master of the universe.
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz.
But
yeah.
It's like that 70s pop program where they got the telecine guy, like he's like kind of cue action.
Let's turn it down. But it's been a good show. It's been great.
yeah, it's been a great evening. We had some really nice presentations, delicious cocktails. We had Jason and Fabio talking about the great challenges they're making. So it was a great evening. Does anyone have questions for our speakers in the chat? It would be great to hear.
I'd actually like to ask Yoko about the
Yeah.
3D stuff that you're doing. Aside from the particle effects and the caustics, when you're doing the setup with that, you got some really good vegetation. And I know you guys work from a very photographic point of view. Which libraries do you use for that? Where do you get your trees from?
I think we get a lot from Eva Motions. Yeah, basically, Eva Motions, and also this animated. So we have the animated tree shadow. These are from Glow FX.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have very nice library. So you can make this animation looped quite easily. So yeah, we use those things mainly.
Do you use Grow Effects at all internally to do custom trees, or do you just buy them in as a stock model?
So basically we buy the models, maybe tweak the textures a bit, but yeah, but I think Eva Motions basically has a really good library.
No, because the thing that always strikes me about the recent Spaces images, how, given how clear you guys are in using photography as a basis for the images, is how well the vegetation always works. And I find that really difficult myself to actually find assets that actually do that. So I was always just kind of interested.
Yeah, but basically, so maybe like few years ago, we still using the 2D trees, but now everybody shifted to 3D trees. Then we use maybe Corona Scatter, also Forest Pack quite a lot so we can just reduce a lot of power to, not counting the polygons. So which is a good tool.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Welcome.
So Simon, You said before, how could we ever top this?
Yeah. Go on. Nigel, what's happening next month?
Well, let's ask our viewers on YouTube. Let's ask them to give us some suggestions.
I've been nagging people in the YouTube comments to come along, and Zap Anderson seems very likely.
So
with a bit of arm twisting, we could get him to come along. That could be very cool.
I think Zap and his cave could outdo Nikos's.
Possibly.
But he falls into the musician thing as well. Ask him anything about 80 cents.
Zap, I know you're still there. Do you want to come on and make a cocktail next month? Just
that'll be good.
Yeah, Zap, make a cocktail from your off-planet emporium or whatever it is where you're hanging out when you're on a webcam.
It's fun, Zap.
He might actually not be there anymore.
I'm pretty sure he'll be there somewhere.
I think he's still there.
You will get to him.
They're all freaking out my announcing voice.
Yeah.
Right. No, great work tonight.
Yes. Great presentation.
Can we have a Zoom round of applause for all the people that presented tonight?
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Great job. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you so much for being with us.
I'm a bit concerned. It's only 9 o'clock.
I know we're so much on schedule. This is so unusual.
Talk for yourselves, guys. It's 11 here.
Yeah, exactly. It's 10 o'clock here. What are you talking about?
Shall we wrap up?
This is Greenwich Mean Time. This is where it all started.
And that's where everybody left as well.
Right, I'm back offline.
And some people came back.
Okay.
So I just wanted to say I've been enjoying the lockdown. I've been enjoying aspects of it. I enjoy I don't miss the Northern Line commuting in every day. One thing I miss is the sort of the social aspect of being in central London. Everyone in my office. One thing I've missed so much actually, and I've really missed 3DS London in the pub every month, and I'm super looking forward to seeing everybody back there when we're allowed to. But I just want to say a massive thanks to Nigel, and Ioanna, and everyone who's put a lot of effort into this YouTube presentation. It's not easy. Nigel's been doing a really good job. So I just want to have another quick Zoom round of applause for Nigel for getting this all up the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nigel.
Well done, Nigel.
Yes, thank you very much for everything. And this is basically the highlight of my month now. And I really miss the pub as well. So I can't wait to gather all together again.
Don't cry, Nigel.
No.
It's all right.
I was just checking to see if
You're sharing it here.
I myself, I can say that the one time that I was there, it was fantastic. So, I would like to come again eventually one day if everything lines up right, you know.
One day.
One day I'll be there.
Ioanna, do you want to wrap us up?
Yes.
And then I've got to go to titles.
Thank you everyone for joining us tonight, tuning in, being part of it. Thanks to all our speakers, mixologists, and everyone who joined us. It was a great evening, and we'll see you next month.
Bye, everyone.
Guys, bye-bye.
Bye.